Welcome back to the 12th man. Delighted to be joined by resident guest Calum Quigley. Calum, I was actually thinking about something today, right? Every time you're on this show, there's an extra lockdown at it. So you're like the bearer of bad news, right? Because every time I see your face now, it's like lockdown's been extended. And everyone that's seeing you, you're like bad news for them. So
I'm a bad luck, Jeremy.
you're a bad influence. No, obviously delighted to have you on. Just for anyone that doesn't know that lockdown has been extended till 1st April. So hopefully we can keep these going at the weekend. Building up to the football. Um, Big week of football during the week there. Obviously your team Liverpool. Everyone will know you're a Liverpool fan by now. Within the game under a lot of pressure. And going to it wasn't on Leipzig, but it was a neutral venue, of course, but never an easy game. Very attacking team. We seen what they did United. In that second game, they played in the group, so obviously it was a very difficult game, and you wouldn't have took it for granted. But I think a lot of Liverpool fans were confident in the way that Leipzig were going to play. It was going to suit Liverpool, and it really did in the end suit them. I think could have went the other way at times, to be fair, but Liverpool showed their clinical side. How happy were you on the performance side of it?
Very happy. It was one of the nights I thought where it was like finally a wee bit of luck went their way. They missed some great chances, especially at the one at the end as well. But I thought coming on it, I remembered, as you mentioned, about the United game, and United with them, I think it was 5-0 at home.
Yeah.
I was like, they're a team that you can get at, even though they're a good side. And I think, like, stylistically, probably they're the most like compatible team for us. Like, they wouldn't sit back like I don't know, like a West Brom or something like that there. Like,
Yep.
you know they're going to come at you and they're expansive and they're going to try to get the goal, which plays in their hands by time. And obviously the two goals were two mistakes, obviously, but like as usual, Salah and Mane absolutely clinical and couldn't be happier with the performance after getting beat on Saturday.
Do you think that 2-0 was a fair result? Do you think that Leipzig were hard done by that they got beat 2-0, or do you think it was a lot closer than the scoreline suggested?
Definitely. I think Leipzig, it could have been a draw. We could have got bit. There was one in games because they had the post in the first 5 minutes. I thought, geez, we could be under the cosh here. And
I think the big thing with Leipzig, right, is since they lost Werner, I know Werner hasn't really done over here in England, but they've really struggled in big European games. You've seen last year when they got to I know they got past the Atletico Madrid, but when they played PSG in the semi-final, they lacked a lot of firepower up front, playing against United at times. In that first game, they lost 5-0. They actually had more possession, I think. And they struggled. They have a clinical edge, cutting edge at the end of the game, and then only scored 3 in that game against United. And they started really fast, but you could see towards the end they were tiring, and United probably could have got a draw that night, and they would have knocked Leipzig out. But excuse me, do you think that Leipzig are slightly behind the level they were maybe 12 months ago?
Oh, definitely. It's night and day, especially I just came into my head the night they went away Hart Lane, and I know it wasn't a great game, but they look. If you compare the two games now, they look night and day better. Obviously, they have Werner on the side, and they have lost a few players, and then they're obviously going to be losing to McCann in the summer. But they've lost a wee bit of their touch going forward, anyway, because you could see it on Tuesday night. They didn't. They must have great chances, like.
They did. And see on the McCann, he's obviously moving to Bayern in the summer. That was confirmed last week. And I obviously said to you before that I was a big fan of him. But there's a lot I've seen of him recently that's put me off him. What do you think? Do you think there's a player on him? Or do you think he's maybe like a Davinson Sanchez where his pace gets him out of trouble a lot and he's very error prone?
I thought it was like a game of two halves for him and Tuesday night, because I thought he had a terrible first half, but then second half he was a lot better. He's passing us a lot better, but hey, there's no chance Bayern would be buying him if they didn't think there was a player on him. Like, so
wasn't one of the goals his fault?
Was he not only like 22, 23?
Wasn't one of the goals his fault?
I'm not sure. No, the first one was Klosterman. The second one was McGillivray.
But that's the most frustrating thing as a manager. And you obviously yourselves have been dealing with stuff like that on individual errors over the last few weeks. And it does seem to be creeping on a lot in these big games. Do you think there's an issue with fatigue, or maybe just there's something not right with these players mentally? It's not just us, it's just not just our league as well. We've seen it last night in the other night with Porto and Juventus. A lot of mistakes in that game. Barcelona were very error prone to PSG. Do you think the players are suffering from all this football that's been played?
Probably. I mean, I don't really watch much European football outside England, but I'm assuming that they're probably playing a couple of games a week as well, trying to fit into the schedule. So it's definitely a factor, and you see it in England every week. There's even with Liverpool, obviously, I know we've got injuries and all, but there's mistakes every week now, and you've seen it again with Porto and obviously Leipzig and Tuesday.
I actually haven't chatted about this, but I actually done I'm actually I'm doing it, but doing my AFL license at the minute, but actually I'm a psychology unit on the R night, right? And a fella called Des Jennings, it's brilliant. But one of the things he was talking about was individual mistakes in games. And they tend to happen in the last 20% of the games. And you've seen in that second half against Leipzig how many errors they made. Those come down, a lot of it comes down to fatigue. But I think why we're seeing it is so much is because the players are going on there not at 100%. They're not starting games 100%. They might be starting games at 80 or 90%. So they're getting even more tired as the game goes on. I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing so many mistakes. Maybe, I don't know, Spurs have been doing it for years, so I don't want to use them. But Liverpool, for example, over the last few weeks, the goalkeeper, again, really, really bad errors, and you wouldn't normally associate that with him. So that is a big problem. And me and Josh spoke about it here on Tuesday. The Euros coming up in the summer, there's not really going to be much rest for these players. Do you foresee similar problems next year where maybe not Liverpool, but all our teams are hampered by injury? And you could see a summer kind of sort of a league where everyone's beating everybody, and there's no real. I know Man City are doing well. We're going to be chatting with them, but where it's a very open league again.
I got to see a knock-on effect on the next season, especially with the Euros, because there's another month of football for all the top players. So I don't see next season being much of a change, to be honest. As you say, they've been flat out this year. Now tomorrow with Liverpool's first game in 7 days. I know that the top teams have a bit more busy schedule anyway, but even for the smaller teams, they're playing twice a week, and obviously they will have smaller squads as well. So it's definitely depleting them next year. It could even be worse, to be honest. Not, but you could see teams obviously this year as well that aren't like West Ham. Well, I think they're fourth or something. You can see all our teams maybe coming back up next year.
I have to confess, Calum, it's one of the weeks, right, where I have caught up in highlights, but I haven't seen a lot of football. I've seen parts of games and stuff, and it's obviously been a very busy week for me. Obviously, with Mikael coming on, and then the whole Chris Cowden chat on Tuesday. I have to say, a lot of people on the show that I'm doing with all these boys and stuff, I have to say a lot of messages I got, a lot of support, which is good. I can't believe how much support we've got, and as you said, like you even said yourself, you feel privileged coming on now, whereas before I was struggling to get people on. So it does suggest that the channel's moving in the right way, and I just want to thank everyone. Before I meant to do it at the start, but I just want to thank everyone that supported me this week and supported everyone's been on the show. It's a real honour. They feel like I'm getting it. So we've talked about Leipzig, Cal. I know you're actually in the chat about Liverpool. So just on that performance, right? Do you sense that they can really go far in this competition, or do you sense that it's going to be a really tough juggling act because the top four is going to be the priority as well?
It's hard to say. The knockout competitions usually suit us the way we play football. Obviously, one big factor, and I know it's the same for every team, but I think people would agree with me that Anfield and the lack of fans will be a massive, massive loss for us. That they usually are the deciding factor, really, when we're playing like European nights, especially at home, obviously. Like you've seen it with Barca, you've seen it throughout the years, obviously, and it's like a coin toss, really. You could Porto could beat Juve, and then we can get an easy tie, and you go on the semi-final.
Watching
Porto,
it's hard to say. Porto absolutely. Well, talk about the Juventus were very fortunate to get out 2-1. I've seen the second half of that game. But the main thing for you, I thought in that game against Leipzig, was to see Mane scoring again. I know Salah's been scoring a lot of goals, but to see Mane in the way he took the goal, very confident finish. Do you think is Mane going to be crucial? Because we know Salah's going to be dependable. Do you think Mane is going to be crucial to helping Salah if he's going to make a top four and he's going to push on in the Champions League?
I obviously see how you get the goals, but I think with Mane, even though he might not score as much this year, I think the impact he has in the game, the fear he strikes on the defenders is massive, to be honest. Even he might not score in a game, but the damage he does, and even if he's not there, I think the other side of it that's probably even worse is when he's not there. The drop off is phenomenal. It goes from Mane to Origi.
I think the fact he's up 2-0 now, I think he's kind of 40. I don't know. You might think it's about mad, but and that because of the way that he's been defending this year, it's not a certainty. But you think at 2-0 up, he's very comfortable in this second. So he's second leg. You think there's a possible chance you can rotate players because of your good result last week, or do you think it's too big a risk?
At 2-0, it's always dodgy because we won goal, they're back on it. if we do rotate, it'll be a very few players. We don't have the squad to rotate, to be honest. It'll be a couple of players max if he does.
And that's the big one, Calum. I sort of thought to myself, even that like a result, do you think that one in the Champions League is realistic this year? Do you think can you see it, or do you think it's too much to ask?
It's one of the ones, anything that happened, but if you're asking realistically, there's better teams in the competition, like obviously Bayern, who else is there? PSG.
It's hard see the year he's won the Champions League in 2005. Didn't he finish fifth in the league that year and won the Champions League?
I think so.
So like it can work out sometimes, or you can maybe have a funny season in the league and then a cup competition that's completely different. I think this Champions League makes it so hard to predict this year because of the fact that with COVID and stuff, there's going to be fractional changes to where you're playing games and stuff. So there could be games where you could see a tie where we see with Arsenal in midweek where both teams play in neutral venues, and that throws an extra dimension to these ties. I think Josh made an excellent point. He can't understand why these ties weren't made one legs, especially when you're having to play at different stadiums and stuff. Is it really worth it? I mean, you obviously you'd have thought this could happen to you as well. But do you think it was fair that Leipzig, and it's not just yourselves, because it's happening with our teams, but do you think that it was unfair in Leipzig that they had to play their game at a different venue and then they have to go to Anfield for the second leg?
Well, they're most likely that the second leg won't be at Anfield now with the travel restrictions with Germany. But
right.
I do agree that it's unfair because it's hard to call it an away tie for us when realistically both teams are away. It's a neutral venue. It's one of them ones where it is unfair, but what else can you do really?
And then it's not just that as well. It's Calum. It's the other teams as well benefiting because if they're getting to play games at home and you're playing a game in a different ground and stuff, that's not fair. It should be one rule for one. Which is, as I said to Josh as well, problem we have at the minute, there's no common sense in football. Surely when you put this down on a piece of paper, it doesn't make sense. There's teams playing at home and there's other teams being forced to play at different venues, and at the end of the day, it's 3-0 fault their own. It's not their fault. Their country's suffering with COVID over in our country, so they don't make the laws. So it really doesn't make sense to me at all. But getting back to the Premier League, obviously a big game this weekend. Hey, the minute Liverpool seem they're all big games. I don't know whether they're pulling these fixtures out of it, but Merseyside derby, it doesn't need much of an explanation. But at Anfield, this is a game Liverpool notoriously absolutely clean up on. Everton, if they even get a draw in these, they're rare. So never mind having won there for it must be 30 years, more longer maybe.
1999. I googled it last week.
So what's that? 22 years. And that's just a one, like, so that's and there's not been many draws on there. There's been a lot of defeats. And Everton have come in, even when Liverpool were struggling, under the likes of Kenny Dalglish and Roy Hodgson, they could still never go there and win. So actually one of the questions I asked was, will they ever get a better chance? You could possibly say back then they did have a big chance, but obviously Everton have been doing well this year, better than they've been doing in the last 3 or 4 seasons. You still think there's a wee bit of softness about them, but will they ever get, and you think about that game at the FA Cup last year when Liverpool played the young boys, they still couldn't beat them with a full team. So are they going to get a better chance in the near future to go and end that record?
I suppose it probably is the best chance for sure. You've been saying it for nearly every big team that's come down this year. You could say it to United, and they 3-0. You could every team who hasn't won on Anfield in a while now it's their big chance. It's their own, they go and take the victory. Liverpool with Everton, there's no chance on him. Absolutely no chance.
The one thing that Everton seem to be struggling with, they're leaking goals for fun. 5-4 Spurs. They have 3 they already against Man City. They were in a free draw there a couple of weeks ago. Can't mind who it was. At United, they were in a free draw that night. They lost 2-0 to Fulham at home. They're conceding goals for left, right, and centre at the minute. That's a big worry. If you've got Salah coming, who's been brilliant all season, and Mane seems to be finding a wee bit of form as well, coming back from injury and stuff. So I think you could dress up as much as you want, but Liverpool have got to come on this favourites and feeling like it's an ideal opponent, because not just all the stuff we talked about there, the psychological factor of Everton. It's the same team that's been playing there the last couple of years. Everton haven't changed a lot. There are obviously a couple of players that come on, but the majority of them players have been there for a while and they know the record. So how much of an advantage did Liverpool have coming on this game?
I think psychologically, as you said, massive. Like even last year when we beat them, when we had the kids in against a full side, we had a right or that game, but we end up winning it. But definitely, well, as you said, without dressing it up, it's probably an easier fixture than some would say because it's the Merseyside derby. It's more of a how close it might be. But if you look at 2 teams, I think I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's a very, very favourable fixture for us.
I I think do you know what's gonna add an extra dimension to this is the way the first game went with the injury to Van Dijk, the injury
I
to
was going to say
Thiago.
that too.
There could be a bit of it could be a bit of a feistiness to it. It could be very keeping 11 players in the pitch is going to be important. Would not surprise me to see a red card in this game, because Liverpool's going to be right up for it. I think after what happened, and that could be a bad thing for Everton. I think if Liverpool get going, it could be they'll be hard to stop. But Everton will only try and get through that first sort of 20, 30 minutes, and then but the thing with Everton, I just don't know you don't really know what their state of play is. They're not really a counter-attacking team. They haven't really got the pace to do it. I know Calvert-Lewin's back. The big bonus. He might. I think to be fair, he's given Van Dijk difficult games before. More than I've seen any other striker in the league. And the fact that he's going to be up against two weaker centre halves might come on it, but you can see Everton sitting back and trying to soak up the pressure and then maybe going long over the top. So how do you see it? How do you see both teams set up? Do you think Klopp will go really attacking and look at Everton's weaknesses like conceding goals?
I 100%. Yeah, I think he has to. I think Everton will be like a couple of sides to come to Anfield. They'll probably just sit there and there won't be very many chances for them. Well, obviously they'll be sitting deep. I predict that they'll sit deep anyway. Set pieces will be big for them. They usually only ever score set pieces. They rarely get an open play goal. Don't think they'll have a lot of possession. So, but they'll probably if they're playing counter attack, they'll have the better chances. Really, you usually do.
Do you think that the fact Liverpool lost their last 3 games at Anfield makes it a wee bit more of a psychological battle for them coming in this? Having gone unbeaten for so long, they've lost their last 3 games. That until they get that next one, it's always going to be difficult.
To a degree, but I think if you ask the Liverpool players now, they'll probably be saying, "Sure, we beat Leipzig here, and we dominated left over 75 minutes, and we had 5 minutes of madness. Like we haven't been playing, but obviously the results haven't been going our way, but we haven't been playing bad football. We're still a good side, so I think they'll be going.
I think the away performances have been very, very good. I think away at Spurs, to a certain degree, it was good. West Ham was brilliant in the second half, and then against Leicester for a long time in that game, he's all comfortable at 1-0. I think the home performances have been poor against Brighton, against Burnley. There's been a lack of creativity, and that'll be the challenge. It's just going there, right? But I think if you ask them who would they want to be play this weekend, probably would have been Everton. In fact, they've got that great record against them, and Everton will go there and they'll have a bit of fear in them. See on Saturday. Do you think this is a must-win in terms of the top 4? Do you think if they drop points here, it's going to make it very difficult?
It's one of the ones where you just have to keep picking up points because Man United, even West Ham's on there. Leicester's doing well. I think we're probably near enough the most inconsistent team at the moment around the top 4. So you just have to, especially at home as well, you have to just start picking up 4 points at home.
And last question I want to ask you is, where do you think both teams will finish this season in the league?
Tough. Everton definitely would take the top 4 anyway. They'll be very, very happy if they got a top 6 finish, but probably 7 for 8.
Right.
Liverpool, the fan of me wants to say 4th, but I don't know. It's tough. Like
I think a lot of it comes down to this game, It's only 3 points, but
always say buffer 4th, hopefully.
I think if you're chasing, it's very important you don't draw points. Do you know what I mean? And 2 points behind Chelsea at the moment.
Thanks, so
Chelsea, they have a handy game, I think. Who are they playing again? Southampton away. Actually, Southampton's in dreadful form too.
They haven't won a match since they beat us.
You fancy Chelsea to go there and won. They haven't only won in the FA Cup, but I think they've lost 6 or 7 straight league games. They're stuck on 9 points for that. As a 29 points or something like that for I don't know how long now. They've been really, really poor in the league. So you've got to fancy that Chelsea can go. Chelsea's playing first as well. So if Chelsea go there and win, they're at half 12. Puts you under 5 points coming into that game. If you end up drawing, you're 4 points behind, and all of a sudden it's a difficult one. But we're going to leave your prediction to the predictions at the end. But I've got a feeling you're going to be confident enough. But one game I've seen them watch a lot of football this week, but one game I did see was Everton Man City. And the golf and class was unbelievable, to be honest. And City didn't even have to get out of first gear. It was it was like a training match. Everton, to a certain degree, they didn't put up a fight, but they just weren't good enough. They kept getting caught on the ball in midfield, and City's press was getting just too much for them. It's usually like they scored 5 against Spurs, and up against the proper side, nowhere near it. I mean, the goal he scored was quite fortunate. I think it came off for Charleston's knee or off the post and his knee and on the net. So, this is something that you probably know the answer to, but do you think the league's over now? It's just 10 points clear, no chance for any other team?
It's I don't want to say it, but I think it's over. I think before the season started, you're thinking there's two teams on it, and one of them's no longer in the title race. So, and I was obviously Liverpool and Man City. So I think Man United was never really good enough to go for the title. I can't see them stringing loads of games together. And on the flip side, can you see Man City dropping points now? Like, it's hard to say, but I definitely think the league's over.
Hey, this is the thing as well. That's starting to annoy me about it as well. It's, the league's over in February again. It was over in January, February last year. What can we do to make the league more competitive? Is it just a lack of quality from teams below, or do you think City and then Liverpool? I know Liverpool last year, but do you think City this year are just too good for everybody else, or what would you see it?
It's hard to say. It's just the consistency. It's like hyper consistency versus the rest. Really, it's like, when have you ever seen the consistency of Liverpool and Man City in previous years? Like, there's no team or teams that's ever produced that high a standard. Like, getting 98, 99, 100 points is nearly every season. It's unbelievable. I don't think it'll be that high this year, to be fair. But the consistency of the teams is mental. Obviously, that comes down to the squad depth and whatever. But it's hard to stop. I'm not really sure. It's a mix of both, really, of how good Man City, and Liverpool are, but the rest of the quality, the rest of the Premier League is lacking.
I think that's 12 victories for Man City, which is very, very, very consistent, to be fair. But that first half of the season, they were dropping points left, right, and centre. So it's taken a while to get going. Maybe in recent seasons they would have been playing catch up, but it's not the fact, it's how easy they got to the top. I think when they were sitting 9th or 10th in the table, and they go on their only have, you still expect them to be in a title race. The fact that they've just completely pulled away, and at the minute it looks like it's only going one way, Calum. It could end up at 15, 16, 20 point lead.
That's what we were saying in December when Liverpool won 7-0 against Palace. You were saying to me, the league's crying out for someone to be a consistency. If you saying that Liverpool got a string of games together, they could run away with it, which could have happened. And then Man City was the team that ended up doing that. And it was the Premier League was wide open for someone to take a bit of consistency to it.
Where do you think this Man City team ranks compared to the year they finally got 100 points and the year they won the league with 98 points? Where do you rank them in terms of, do you think they're better? Do you think they're behind that team, or in the same level?
I think it's around the same level, but you could actually have an argument that they are a bit better because of how the season's panned out for them. A new striker, and they've managed to string these run of games together now, and obviously that's come down to Diaz coming on as well. And then I'm not really sure what Man City fans would say, but Gundogan scoring, was it 12 goals or something, or 10 goals? Like, that's something unreal. But it's level wise probably somewhere, but you could obviously make arguments, because I think the key word for them this year is that they've adapted their situation, which is a credit to Pep. It's hard. They're definitely up there anyway in comparison to the other two teams.
Do you think that they're just a better all-round team in terms of defensively they're a bit stronger? They might not be as pretty to watch in terms of they're scoring 6 and 7 goals every week, but they remind you of like a United team in the 90s where they didn't have to play that well. They won games and stuff. They played against Everton, and they were good to a certain extent, but they didn't have to just wipe the floor with Everton. And didn't really have to stretch their muscles too much. So I always think they're holding back a bit. How good could, I don't know whether it's the fact that Pep's not overcommitting bodies forward because they've been so good at the back, but I definitely do think they found a good balance there. And obviously they're still in every competition. So my next question, Davey, I've been asking other people what's going on. How many trophies do you think they'll win this year?
Definitely the league, and I think they'll be doing the League Cup too.
Against a strong Spurs side?
Definitely 2. FA Cup, I'm not sure who they have on their tie.
Everton away.
Everton away.
Walk away before them too.
I think they'll wipe the floor. I think they've won the domestic treble before. I think that's definitely on. Obviously, the big one that's eluded them, and Man City and Pep for the past while now, is the Champions League. That's a massive question. I'm not sure. I think they have the squad to do it. You say it every year. They do have a squad there. They can go and do it if they play well.
I think the fact that they're now 10 points clear and they could even stretch further clear because United at the minute don't look like putting run a games together. I don't think Leicester's going to be playing catch up. I don't think they'll be tied for top 4 and stuff. So you think if and the next tie is favourable against Borussia Mönchengladbach. So if they get to the quarterfinal stage and say they're 15 points clear in the league's over, really, it, and they can afford to rest players in the league and then go all out for that, do you think they're never going to get? Do you think that they're never going to get a better chance? Do you think they've never been in a better position to go on with it?
Definitely. He said last year as well, though, when they had Leon was in the quarterfinals. You're thinking a favourable tie. Obviously, they were a good side, but you're thinking as you say, the 15-20 clear, they could really, really go for it.
I know last year they were a little ahead of us, but I don't think they were defensively they were all over the place last year. I think it's going to be difficult when they won it last year. I think City almost over the last couple of years have had to blow teams away, and they were getting involved in high scoring games, and you don't want a lot of European football matches when it goes like that against the top teams. It's almost like type ones get you a line and stuff. But you know what? I really do think it's possible. You know what? I don't think they'll be far away. I look around the Champions League, and you look at the Juventus the other night, and only might turn around against Porto in the second leg, but I think City are far stronger than them. Barca, I think they're out, but I don't know how strong PSG are, because I think Barca's well off the piss. Eventually, we see, if they come up against them. Bayern Munich's the obvious one. You think, Liverpool as well. I think if they were to do all Liverpool, it will be a completely different. I don't know. I was saying to Josh, I was saying to Kevin, just when two English teams play each other in the Champions League, it's a completely different tie. It's not.
Always like that.
But it just is different. So, and the fact that Liverpool put them out in the Champions League game a few years ago would come on it. I think that'll be the two they want to avoid, really, Liverpool and Bayern Munich. But
I think they fancy anybody else over now too.
But even at that, they'll fancy themselves against them two teams as well. But that'll be the two you would look at and go, yeah, it would be difficult, difficult games. I think everybody else will come down to pressure. But I do think they're coping well this year, and I'll be shocked if they didn't make it to at least the semi-final. Unless they got a nightmare draw in the next round and get Bayern. But no, I would expect them to be in the semi-final. And then it is an open tournament, like. Well, getting on to the rest of the European games, right? That was quite a good weekend in Europe for the English teams, and Rangers. We're going to get the Rangers too, but quite a good week. Nobody lost. Some big ones in there. Obviously yourselves, Liverpool. Then obviously Chelsea don't play next week, and Man City. So in the Europa League, United won 4-0 away in Real Sociedad, who that was tough to be a very difficult draw. And even say now they're through. Spurs won 4-1 away from home against a very weak opponent, I have to say. Looking more like a group stage game or a qualifier, and that team are really, really poor. Arsenal drew 1-1 away in Benfica. Leicester drew 0-0 away at Prague, and then obviously Rangers won 4-3. But before we get into that, I want to ask you: did you catch up on the PSG Barca game?
I did. I watched the highlights. I watched the PSG highlights. Mbappe, but as you say, Barca sell off big time, so it's hard to.
So did you catch much of it?
I watched the highlights. Obviously Mbappe ripped Barca move on, but it's kind of as you said, Barca have dropped off, and Mbappe was so he is the next superstar, I think, after Messi and Ronaldo. It's sad to see for Messi, I thought, because Barca's just a different side nowadays, to be honest. Be interesting to see where he goes in the summer.
See, again, I don't think PSG had to be that good again. Completely ripped them apart at times. I think one thing as well, you could look at Mbappe, obviously is brilliant. But one accusation that people were saying to me when I was actually on that Spurs chat there, Son was more important than Kane, right? They thought that if they had to lose one, they would lose Kane. This is just some people were obviously chatting me after it, and they said that when Kane went out of the team, you seen a different Son could play, and the way football's going, a front three, a fast front three might work. And I think one reason that happened at the time was Poch. He's seen the R8 with Di Maria missing and Neymar missing. He's able to adapt with the players that he's got. Whereas I think with Mourinho, you see when Kane comes out of the team, there's no real. It's all built around him. I think that's one thing I would credit Poch with. People obviously said he didn't want to hit Spurs, and I knew when he went to PSG, he was going to obviously. Well, then people were saying that to be just distasteful, or they actually believed that is another thing. But that R8 was pure tactical, and the way Di Maria and Neymar's part of that front three would have been so he's missing two that front three going to new camp, and that really does show that the level of manager is he's able to adapt with them players, and he's only been there a month.
I mean, he's only been there a month, but it's a top team. Like, to be fair to them, it's more of a title race this year in France. There's three teams on it, like, so they're not running away with this year, which probably is a bit more says more about Barca that they were able to go there and do a job on them so easily. But as you say, I always thought Poch was a great manager. He's went there after how long's he in the job, like a month, and got a big always PSG's free on essentially, like and as you say about Spurs, like I would say Kane's far more important than Son because as you say, once he drops out of the team, it's non-existent really. Like I know you've a lot more to say. You could go all night about it, but Kane's the lifeblood of that team, to be honest.
Just to round up the other results, Spurs United, you fancy are definitely free.
100%.
How do you see the Arsenal tie? 1-1.
I don't know too much about the Benfica side, to be honest. So I can't really say. I don't watch the highlights either, so but I'll probably say Arsenal's probably more favoured to go free. Quality Portuguese league isn't that good, so I go for Arsenal to go free.
And then Leicester, 0-0 home tie, second leg. You fancy to go free?
I think Vardy went off there with like an hour. I'm not sure if he's injured or not, but I think Leicester fatigue might come on it as well because they're doing so well in the league, so they're going to want to go for top four. But I think they should be able to beat them in the second leg.
And then great result for Rangers away from home, 4-3 victory. Pretty in game, obviously. And you fancy them now at home as well? Do you fancy them to go through?
100%. This shows their character again. They were 3-2 down, wasn't it? And they managed to snatch it in the end. So Stevie's man can't really do much wrong with them, honest. So 100% Rangers free.
Right, obviously moving on to this week's games. A few predictions. Football starts tonight. Wolves against Leeds. How do you see that going?
Fancy Leeds, to be honest, because Wolves haven't been too good this year. Obviously, they're not. I don't think they're too bad with them this year, but Leeds are where they're going. Well, Leeds games that you seen at Arsenal last week could literally be any scoreline, like. But fancy Leeds, to be honest.
Prediction?
Fuck, it's hard. It's hard. 3-1 Leeds.
3-1 Leeds. I'm going to go. I think Leeds are going to turn over too. I think they'll be too good for Wolves. Wolves aren't playing well at all. I'm going to go for a 1, because Wolves are pretty tight. It'll be a tight game. I'm going to go for a 1-0 Leeds victory. Tomorrow, Southampton against Chelsea. How do you see that one going?
One-way traffic. Chelsea's been doing well on their two goals, so probably 2-0 Chelsea. So I can't see Southampton turning over their bad luck tomorrow.
I'm going to agree with you. I think Chelsea will completely. We watched them against Newcastle all night in Newcastle. Yeah. I don't know how one puts up with that, but the match for Chelsea doesn't get a first gear. Very comfortable victory, and I can see someone. I think Southampton will give them a bit more to think about. They just look so tired and run out of ideas. I'm not sure where they're going to end up because they need to get back on the horse big time because they're not clear of the injury yet. Like if you keep losing, you just never know where you're going to finish. But I think they've got too much quality. But for in this Chelsea game, I don't see any more. I'm going to go 2-0 as well. 2-0 Chelsea 1. Burnley, West Brom game of the weekend, 3 o'clock. How do you see that going?
1-1 or 0-0. It's going to be a low. I don't think I'll be watching that one. I might put it that way. I'll go for a 0-0. I think it's going to be a boring one.
Burnley seem to be playing well. West Brom are all up us. Burnley really turned the corner. I'm going to go for a 1-0. Burnley 1. Liverpool, Everton. Obviously a big game for you. 5:30. This one.
Massive game, obviously. Gonna go for 2-0 Liverpool. I think we'll
2-0. I think Liverpool's going to be far too strong. Everton, no confidence in them going there and putting on a performance. That's the thing. If they did go there, it wouldn't be one of them ones. If they went there and won, I'd be done. I would be shocked because of the record there. And all the times where I thought they were going to turn up there, they haven't. So I fancy Liverpool. I'm going to go for a 4-1 Liverpool 1.
Big one.
I think Everton's leading goals. I think Liverpool the perfect game for them. Fulham against Sheffield United, big game at the bottom. Fulham's making a bit of a comeback. I think they're only 6 points behind Newcastle now. And Sheffield United at home, they're going to get too many bigger opportunities to get 3 points. How do you see that one going?
I fancy Fulham, to be honest. I think after the result away to Everton, they'll be big in confidence and they'll be looking above them too, thinking, I think it's only 6 points to Newcastle. They'll be thinking here, if we can get a result here at Sheffield, we can put a bit of pressure on Newcastle, who obviously we know aren't playing well. So I think Probably I'll go for a 1-0 Fulham. I don't think it'll be a great game, but I think they'll win confident.
They're playing really well. And very unfortunate to be behind Newcastle, I think, because they're far better side. But
100%.
I think if they can win this, it puts Newcastle under big pressure. And they might have a big decision to make with Bruce because I don't think they're going to get enough points. If Fulham put together one of games, I think they'll struggle. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 Fulham victory. On the Sunday, West Ham against Spurs, 12 o'clock, big big London derby. Funny this one, Spurs are usually playing West Ham, and it's usually Spurs have a lot riding on it, and West Ham can tend to maybe take points off us at times when we're going for titles and top four and stuff. But I think this time it's already about West Ham are the team pushing for top four. I think if Spurs have any chance at top four, they're going to have to win this game. How do you see it going, Kel?
Spurs' bogey team. They always seem to do these. I remember the screamer that Lanzini scored when they were away from home. It's one of the games where you could go up 3-0 again, and you could see them coming back. West Ham's in too good a form, really. I know he's had a game there for a second. I'm not sure if you put a full squad out for it or not, but
the rest of all the players.
I don't know. It's hard because Spurs gonna put on a good performance. They could do them, but I'm gonna go for a 2-1 West Ham.
2-1 West Ham. I'm usually been pretty negative on here the last few weeks. I actually have a funny feeling we're going to go there and win. I think we're going to have to really tighten up. I think if we start making mistakes again, we're in trouble. It wouldn't surprise me if we did, but
I think it'll be like the
Liverpool
game.
I have a feeling we're going to go there now, and we got a confidence after the other night maybe. And we got a full rest in terms of our main players didn't play in midweek. That could help. And I think West Ham as well. Push is going to come to shove with them. Pressure's on now. They're in that position. Will they be able to cope with it?
I think it'll be like the Liverpool game where he's going to have to produce a bit of quality to win the match because they are good at the back, like, so we'll see.
They are. They're very organized team. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Spurs victory. And that's me being honest. I just think we're going to beat them. Villa and Leicester. It should be very entertaining. Two teams that love to play football and attack. Definitely be sitting down to watch this one. How do you see that one going?
It's one and one, so they both show up. It could be a screamer of a game, to be honest. Villa, if Grealish and Watkins, whatever, show up, they could wipe the floor. But Leicester's playing well as well. I think it might be a draw. I think it'll be a game of quality, and you'll have to have a bit of quality to win the game. I think it'll be tight. I'm gonna go for a 1 each. To be honest, I
don't think it'll be far away at that. Be interesting to see what way Leicester approach it. I think they have to let Villa have the ball and maybe try and catch him in the counter attack. I think that's one thing that Villa have struggled with this year. You've seen West Ham a few weeks ago done them on the counter attack. Villa seem to play better when they're on the counter attack. But being the home team, they'll probably have to come on to them. And Leicester, the minute's going along nicely. You've seen what they did to Liverpool, and that's last 10 minutes. If you give them space on behind, they'll eat you alive. So it should make for a good view, and I'm going to go for a very entertaining 2-2 draw. All right. Arsenal against Man City. Now, Arsenal have a wretched record against Man City in the league. No, I know they won them. I know they did beat them in that cup game, but I think they've lost their last 7 or 8. And some of them big hefty scorelines. And the fact they've got that big game against Benfica midweek, I think you might see not a completely weakened team, but you might see a fair few changes. So if it's Arsenal's strongest against City and De Bruyne is back, and he loves playing against Arsenal too. How do you see this one go?
I think it's going to be like the Everton game where City's won't have to go out of first gear at all. I think it's going to be, I don't want to say a complete walkover, to be honest. Obviously, it depends on the rest players too, but I know Arsenal fans probably only want to hear that, but I think it's the truth. I think Man City's just a class above them, to be honest. And that stage could be 3 or 4-0, to be honest. I don't see Arsenal doing much.
I think Man City will, like you say, will be very, they'll be far too good for them. Class above. But I think the fact Pep and Arteta's mates, Pep will do him a favour and not making an ugly scoreline. I think I'm going to go for a 2-0 Man City victory. Man United, Newcastle. We know the struggles of one's going through at the moment. Mental health. Can't be because they are dreadful. Probably the only team in the league that I don't like. If I could sit down to watch most teams, maybe not West Brom. Spurs, aren't a good watch, to be fair. Newcastle's the other team I really struggle. And they're on. It's just they make the game bad. Just the other team as well don't have to play. It's always very ugly to watch. I think Chelsea aren't that good. I think Josh spoke about it. Chelsea in the second half where passing was awful because I think just Newcastle brought them down to a level. But United, he's seen United up and down. United, you just don't know what you're going to get. 4-0 against Sociedad, you wouldn't have seen that coming. And the week before, away to West Brom, best away record in the league against the worst home record. You would have seen away one all day and drew one each. You just don't know what you're going to get, but I'd be very surprised if we haven't won this game. I'm going to go for a 2-0 United won.
I don't think it'll be far wrong either because, as you say, Newcastle is probably one of the worst teams in the league. They make it so boring. I don't think there'll be a high scoring game. Well, they could make it if Newcastle capitulate, but I don't think they will. It'll be a boring game. I fancy a 2-0 as well. I think it'll be low scoring, but.
And then the final game, Monday Night Football. I think it's the M22 Derby they call it, or the M26. I can't mind. Brighton against Crystal Palace. It goes back years. That's Derby. I know Brighton, Palace is London, but there's a Derby there. Palace at the minute are really struggling with Zaha. They're leaking goals and they're not scoring them. I think you'll probably see Hard. It looks like Hardson's going to be stepping down at the end of the season, and he's done a really good job at Palace. But they're one-dimensional team. They have been ever since Zaha's been there. I know if Zaha moves on, they miss him. But I think they rely on him that much when he's there. When he comes out of the team, they just don't know what to do. And Brighton at the minute, Brighton are playing really good football. And I think they're going to be comfortable. They're going to end up going up the table, where they should be. How do you see this going?
I agree with Zaha. He's like the Crystal Palace version of Kane, to be honest. That they don't know what to do about them, and when they league goals, especially, it's even worse. Brighton have been playing well. They got a result against Spurs as well at home, so fancy a Brighton one, to be honest. I think Palace will probably leak a few goals. I think it'll be 2-0.
I'm going to go for a 2-0 Brighton one as well. Hey, Calum, thanks very much for coming on. Really enjoyed the chat. Some big games coming up over the next sort of couple of weeks. I'm actually going to get you back on in March for the international break because I want to do something. I'm going to do like a Liverpool keep sell of the squad. All right, so I'm going to do that when we leave after the international break.
Looking forward to that one.
It should be a lot more closer in the league as well. I might know where you're going to end up and stuff, but there'll be something to do that week with the international games on. We'll do a wee Liverpool squad thing. So until then, stay safe, man. Enjoy the rest of the lockdown. I'm sure you'll be buzzing over the next few
next time I'm back on, I'll probably extend it again.
I know. Here, top man, and I'll see you again, right?
Cheers, good man.